She ran the foster home with 5 kids, Scar. Anyways, Mona seemed fond of that guy. Whenever he came, she used to dress and make up a lot. They used to go out and return late at night. By the time they came back, we were all asleep. Among those kids, my only friend was my roommate Maria. Her mother left her on the road and she was put into foster care by an NGO. Every child who lived in that house had a tragic past to deal with. Mona was not a very affectionate person, but she never ill-treated any of us. She celebrated all of our birthdays on a particular day. This was probably her way of cutting the costs as much as possible. Our rooms were upstairs. Mona's bedroom was the biggest room in the house. She slept downstairs. I was playing with Maria in the backyard one day. She accidentally fell from the swing and hurt her leg. I went to call Mona and knocked on her bedroom door. As she opened I noticed multicolored wallpaper stuck on the walls of her entire room. There were flowers and butterflies printed on them. I stood in awe seeing the grandeur of the room. Her room seemed like a different world altogether because of those vibrant wallpapers. She went to get Maria, but I stood there and kept looking around. Mona got busy with Maria in the living room. I was taking a close look at the wallpaper when suddenly a woman whispered in my ear, "Help me." I jumped back immediately out of shock. I looked around, but I was the only one standing in that room at the moment. I didn't understand. Was it all my imagination, or did I really hear a woman's voice? "Hello? Is there anybody here?" I said nervously. No reply came back, but I started to hear a whispering sound. I concentrated on the sound and figured out it was coming from the bedroom wall right in front of me. I got closer and placed my ear on the wall. "What are you doing?" I turned around and saw Mona standing there and looking at me with a surprised face. Nothing. I was just watching the wall. Serious argument, but they were speaking in a rough, low voice. "What are you saying? Are you out of your mind?" "Look, I'm telling you, this kid will get us in trouble. Don't talk like an idiot. She's just a dumb kid. She'll never be able to guess the truth. She asked me what was in the trunk today. We have to get rid of it." "Oh, come on. Did you chicken out because of a kid? Don't you remember how fooled the cops in California were? Listen, darling, there's nothing to worry about, okay? Just relax. I will keep the basement locked. I'll look for a place to get rid of the trunk soon." They went to their bedroom and I returned to my bed. What could be inside of that trunk? I kept thinking. From that day, Mona always kept the basement door locked, but they couldn't keep the mystery hidden for long. It was a Saturday night. Mona and Marco were out. Tony, Maria, and I were watching TV in the living room. "Hey, let's play hide and seek," Maria suddenly said. Tony and I agreed, and we started the game. After a few turns of play, it was my turn to find everyone. "Ready or not, here I come." I rushed upstairs and started to look for Maria. I easily managed to find Tony as he hid under the bed, but Maria was nowhere to be found. I realized that she might have hidden downstairs. I rushed downstairs, and after checking the entire living room, the only place left to hide was Mona's bedroom, because the basement was already locked. I pushed the door of Mona's room and said, "I know you're hiding in here somewhere, Maria." I smelled a strong chemical in Mona's room. The odor was coming from the walls. She sprayed something on the wallpaper, which made her room smell like hospital cabins. I walked close to the right wall and checked the vibrant wallpaper pasted on it. As I touched the wallpaper, it felt wet to me, and I became sure that there was a weird liquid applied all over. Suddenly, Maria came out of Mona's cupboard and tried to play a scary prank on me. As she went to grab my neck from behind, I turned around and skillfully dodged her, which resulted in her stumbling upon the wall. As soon as she fell onto the soggy wallpaper, she accidentally tore it, creating a hole. Hundreds of ants and spiders started to crawl out from that hole. It was clear that these insects lived underneath the wallpaper. We were absolutely terrified and came out of the house crying in fear. Our next-door neighbor, Mr. Stewart, came rushing to our house. He got inside Mona's room and don't know why he immediately called the cops. Within 15 to 20 minutes, the cop cars came, and we saw Mr. Stewart telling them something with a fearful face. The cops broke into the basement, and a horrible truth moved us all. Mona and Marco were none other than convicted murderers who robbed and killed people in California. They murdered around 6 to 7 people and magically found a way to hide the corpses. They escaped from California and came here to live in disguise. But the cops found out that the bones of those victims were kept in that trunk. They would never have been able to discover what happened to the victim's whole body, if not for the day that Maria scratched those wallpapers accidentally. Yes, Mona and Marco skinned their victims and turned their skin into house wallpaper. But they were no professionals, hence they couldn't preserve the skin properly, which attracted insects. They were trying to drive the insects away by using chemicals, but they couldn't hide their grotesque crime. When the cops handcuffed Marco and Mona, I was standing at the house porch with Mariah and Tony. While walking towards the cop car, Marco looked at me and then to Mona. "I told you that the kid would get us in trouble. I should have choked that bitch right in her sleep that day." I still can't forget his blood-red eyes when he said how much he wanted to kill me that night in bed. I don't remember the exact time, but I woke up with a strange feeling. With my sleepy eyes, I saw Luke standing right in front of me and breathing heavily. The entire room was in complete darkness. I thought he might be feeling sick, so I turned on the bedside lamp and almost screamed in fear. Luke was standing there, looking at me, except his eyeballs were pale white. I don't know how, but his eyes were turned upside down, revealing the pale white part. I spoke in a fumbled voice. "Luke? What happened to you?" He blinked once. "My mom is calling me. She's waiting for me in that blue house. My mom. She keeps calling for me." I picked him up from the ground, shouting, "Jenny! Jenny!" Jenny came running. "What happened, Mommy?" "Calling Kate right now. Please, just call her." Jenny called Kate, but she didn't answer the call. I put Luke on the bed. I got so scared that I couldn't sleep the entire night. Jenny also remained awake with me the whole time. The next morning, when Luke woke up, I asked him, "Do you remember what happened last night?" Luke stared at me, not saying a word. Kate came to see him within some hours after receiving my message. She sat him down and said, "Luke, sweetie, you have to understand that your mom and dad are in heaven now. They're watching you from there. Unfortunately, they can't come here." She wasn't my real mom. We were all shocked to hear this little boy say such a weird thing. Kate and I exchanged a surprised look. "Sweetie, what are you saying? She was your mom. She loved you." "My mom is in that blue house. She's waiting for me there. Can you please take me there?" None of us was getting what was going on with this child. Out of curiosity, I asked, "Do you know where this blue house is?" Luke replied, "Yeah, I can take you there." What happened next was beyond our expectation. Kate and I thought the best way to help this child would be to do what he says. He probably wants us to go outside. Children can do weird things for weird reasons sometimes. So, we all hopped into my car and I started the engine. Luke sat right beside me and said, "Take the first left." Trust me, guys, he gave me directions like an adult for at least half an hour. And beyond our imagination, after taking the last right turn, we came near a huge lake. On the side of that lake stood a small wooden blue house. We got out of the car and walked towards the main door. Kate knocked on the door twice. We heard slow footsteps inside the house. Within a few seconds, an old woman opened the door. She looked quite like my granny. With surprised eyes, she noticed all of us and said, "Who are you all? Did you make my favorite bread pudding, Mama?" The old woman immediately looked at him and started to sob terribly. She hugged him to her chest and kept crying. After that comment, Simon refused to say anything else on the topic. I asked him why his mommies were scared of him, and he was silent. As you could probably guess, I was confused and slightly worried by this, but the organization hadn't given me anyone to contact. I'd only seen his social worker when he arrived. but they hadn't given me her contact number, and I'd never met her before that day. One day, I was working in the garden. Simon was running around. "Simon, slow down," I said in a loud voice. He looked at me and started to run towards me, making a very weird face. I just stood there and watched him coming towards me. I was feeling uncomfortable, but I didn't move, thinking that he was just trying to play with me. He came very close to me and gestured his hands in a stabbing motion. I said, "What are you trying to do?" He smirked and replied, "I was checking to see if you were afraid of dying or not. Simon, you can't say things like that, you know?" I have done way more than I spoke. And he walked towards the house. I don't know how long I stood there, stunned with fear. I decided to follow up on his whereabouts. I went to that organization the next day. As I inquired about him to the manager of the organization, I saw his face turning pale. He said, "Why? Did he try to hurt anyone?" I was utterly shocked to hear such a statement, because why would someone say something about a little child for no reason? I looked at the man with a very angry face and almost screamed, saying, "Will anyone tell me what the hell is wrong with this child?" The man then said Simon was adopted by 2 other families, and each family suffered mysterious accidents resulting to the death of child, and don't know why those parents claim Simon was involved in those accidents some way. The general manager looked at me and said, "Ma'am, we're trying to contact his real parents. You will be the first to be informed once we've dug out any single information on him. Till then, watch him and be careful." His last words, "be careful," ran a shiver down my spine. I got into the car and drove home. The moment I stepped inside the house, I received the shock of my life. Simon was sitting on the floor, holding my other foster child, Carrie, by her neck. He placed a sharp knife on her neck and stared at me with hatred and disgust. "Simon, what are you doing? This is dangerous. Let her go." Carrie kept sobbing out of fear. I walked closer to him, just when, "Don't try and come closer, or I'll cut her open." Words like that coming from a child is definitely not something one is used to hearing. I realized that the only way to stop him from doing something crazy is to calm him down with my words. "Baby, let her go. Mommy is here to take care of you. You don't want to do this, Simon." "Really? If you wanted to take care of me, then why did you go back to the organization? Carrie told me you went there to find my real parents. I don't want my real parents. I don't have any real parents. They are all dead." My body was numb in fear. "What are you saying, Simon? What happened to your parents?" "I burned the house down while they slept. I still recall their screams and cherish those memories." Suddenly, my eyes went to the glass window, and I saw my husband standing there and gesturing me to keep calm. I realized that he probably had called the cops by now. All we had to do was save Carrie from Simon. That way he couldn't hurt him. I started to sob. "Simon, baby, please let her go. We can all be a family. I love you. Daddy loves you. Why are you doing this? Daddy doesn't love me, but I thought you really did. But you broke my trust, and now here's..." He was screaming like a hungry wolf, and his eyes were burning like hellfire. My husband held him tightly so that he couldn't do anything or hurt anyone. The cops finally came and took Simon to a correctional facility. This experience is why Simon was the last foster child we ever raised. I couldn't face the thought of caring for